Hi there, this is RJ. We're going to be looking at the mini arm and repairing it. This only applies to those within the last year or so. This is December of 2015. If your joints look like this, that's what we're talking about. But if your joints don't look like this, then this doesn't apply to you. First thing I'm going to do is remove this little piece right here. Sometimes I call that a whatchamacallit or a thingamajig. And I'm going to put it in the V. And that gives me two parallel surfaces so that I can clamp it nicely to a desk or a table. And this is what the unit would normally look like. And I like to position it, the two closer tabs next to each other on the bottom, because that way I can loosen this and these two are fixed and I can adjust this. When I adjust it, I always push together from here, not from here. I'm going to remove this tablet holder. I'm also going to remove this tipper. If yours is super glued on, just leave it on this stud. This piece is called a stud. I'm actually going to remove that stud. I'm actually going to remove this stud and just take it off completely. I'm going to do the same thing here at the bottom. First, I'll loosen this thumb screw, press my silver button there. That removes the stud from the super clamp. Now, loosen this thumb screw. And remove this stud. And now I'm left with these two egg-shaped joints. When you get the repair kit, it will include two studs that are texturized. The problems that I was having before with this arm are that the surfaces of the studs were too smooth and they would rotate within the joint. Secondly, it didn't have any end cap here, so it could just pull out of the joint. The new studs are texturized for better grip, and they have an end cap so it can't just slide out of the joint. The old studs come back to me. The new studs we need to install. I've taken off one of my joints. I'm making sure that the bolt is seated as far down as it can, right down in there. Now I take my stud, I carefully place it in the bigger of the two slots. I'm just going to hold things in place with my finger. And I'm going to take my end cap, and it has a little post here also. That's going to go into the hole right next to the stud. So I line things up here. And when I do this correctly, now we have the new stud in the old joint. I'll do the same thing here, the bottom one. Look for the larger of these two slots. So I'm going to separate these two halves a little more. Try to line up the larger of these two slots. Put the tube through and then squeeze this together. Make sure my screw is seated all the way in there just by wiggling this around. Yep, it's all the way down in there. Hold things together here. Take my second repair stud, find the bigger of the two slots, hold it in place. Take my end cap, look for my little stud, goes into the hole, my washer, and my thumb screw. And that's 90% of the repair. I'm going to loosen this one just a little. My tipper screws in clockwise. However, even when you screw it in, it's possible that once you have the tablet holder on here, that someone can come along and simply hit it and it will unscrew. That's what screws do. That's counterclockwise. The way to prevent that from happening is simply to back the screw off a bit, put a few drops of super glue on the thread, screw it back in, tighten it a little, and let it sit for about an hour. And now the stud and the tipper will become one, so you can't have any rotation, which is good. Snap that back on, and you have a completed repair of the mini arm.